Hey, welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways. We're still here at this little marina as I film this. We're getting ready to leave. We probably aren't going to leave in the several hours after I film this because there is some really gnarly stuff going on, like 4 or 5 foot seas, 20 knot with 35. 35 is the highest gust I've seen in the last couple hours at a windmill point, and that's a pretty big gust. Okay. You're not going to be carrying on a 27-foot boat. You're certainly not going to be carrying very much sail at that kind of thing. So it's just not happening. Actually, there's a 42-foot saber that's in here they're hiding out from it too. They're like, nope, we're not going out until tomorrow. So we're probably going to leave tomorrow, and we're going to leave tomorrow. We're going to do something a little different. The current plan, if the weather holds, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Today, projects. I'm going to try to put the king post in. That's the best thing I can do for anchor handling is to see if I can get that set, the backing plate epoxied up, get everything nice and tight up there. Because the one other piece that we actually need, that we actively need for this whole thing to work out, the anchor bow roller is not available anywhere around here. No one has any. The three places that should have them are out, and I'm not. There is a West Marine, but it's too far away to drive to, and they don't have a proper one anyway. They have a little short one for a fishing boat in stock. There's nothing. And it's a little bit weird because most of the places are like, oh yeah, we carry these. We just don't have any right now. That's 2 out of the 3 places. The third one, I couldn't find anyone who actually knew what an anchor roller was. I just saw a spot for it on a shelf. So everybody's out. And that's the one thing that actually changes our anchor handling the most, is because that gives us the fair lead for the chain. That's really the big important part of that, is that's where I want the chain to run through most of the time. I do have a chalk that I'm going to put into, so maybe I'll just put that up first. I didn't want to put that up first because I want to fit the anchor bow roller where it goes so that I know I have space for the chalk, but we'll get it done. It'll all work out just fine. I may have to put a sacrificial piece of trim wood up for a few days or weeks until we find what we need. I'm just there's a West Marine down in Deltaville, our next stop, and the fact that they don't have one is really kind of weird. So we'll have to see how many days we have there, or if we're going to try to make a run for the weather and see if we can handle the 3 days of shipping. If we're anchored out in Deltaville for that long, then it's not that big a deal. If we end up making use of a short weather window and dodging around Queens Creek and getting down into the York River or something as fast as we can, then obviously it won't work, So that's the project. The king post, that's going to go in today, and that's going to be nice. And it will solve the rest of the problems that we have, and I can start refitting the larger cleats and doing the work up front. I'm going to need to get some of the kiwi, I think. Kiwi grip? Not all grip. Kiwi grip? The non-skid paint that I want, which is also a gap-filling paint, and it's just going to be a massive refresh for the top sides of the boat as we do it. I need to get some of that. I'm not going to be able to get it all at once because it's kind of expensive, and I don't know exactly how far it's going to go on the boat as we do it. And I don't know if I'm going to go with multiple colors or if I'm just going to try to order the olive seafoam. It's more of a light olive green that I want, or whatever. I may end up with just white, or I may end up with the light blue that everyone has in stock. I don't care that much. We'll see what happens. Getting that going is going to be a big improvement for us because it's the non-skid on the boat is pretty worn out. and that's actually kind of, it hasn't been a huge problem, but it is a little bit of a factor when you're going around the deck, especially the aft part of the deck where there's a lot of little steps up and steps down and stuff that we store and actively use. So we'll get to that. The part about leaving early, the actual meat of the video, we are not yet overnight cruisers. I'm not sure where I am with that. I like the idea of keeping our sleep schedules reasonably well. I still wake up every hour or 90 minutes. Like it's just part of being alert. It's not stress, it's just alert. You just wake up and stuff happens. I still go through phases after the enlightenment schools. I still go through phases where I only sleep for 2 hours, which is really weird. So I'll get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I'll just meditate and drink tea and be up. That happens. Not in a phase doing that right at the moment, so that's okay. But overnight cruising, you have to get my partner on this adventure. She needs to get a little more confident with the tiller and the navigation headings and staying on course. She just needs to get a little more comfortable with it, because that's the only way she's going to be able to handle an hour or two while I nap in the middle of the night. So we're not set up as overnight cruisers yet. I can pull an all-nighter once. I can't do it, twice in a week and still feel very healthy in my body. I can do it once. But there's a lot of times where your weather window actually starts to look really good at night. And if the weather's clear and you have a moon, it's actually really fun and really comfortable. And there's no problems doing this at all. So we don't quite have that. But tomorrow, if we leave around 4 o'clock in the morning, possibly as early as 3, actually 1 o'clock in the morning would be great, but we're not going to do that. But if we were to leave around 4 o'clock in the morning, we would be coming around Windmill Point at sunrise, and we'd be across the Rappahannock before the big morning gusty weirdness that sometimes happens out here would happen. And it would be a really nice, comfortable way to make our little passage. This is just a little passage. We're not doing big days. We're trying not to do 10-hour, 12-hour days. But this would be a really nice way to just get there, get down to our next stop, and spend a couple days on anchor. And that would be kind of the ideal way to do it. Beyond that, I don't know. There's a lot of things to talk about and a lot of things to look at beyond that. But one of the things that may help us out is to start being more comfortable doing early, especially in the winter, especially this far north. We're still at like 36 north. As the winter comes on, the days get much, much shorter. Leaving a couple hours before sunrise gives you that calm weather. It's actually a key part here to think about, is that often when you look at your wind reports, if you're going to have a relatively calm day, it's calmest in the early morning, late night, early morning hours. So that gives us more time. It gives us more day. And if we've got a comfortable light, and we're coming into a really good phase of the moon for this, like the moon is going to start making this really good. On a full moon, you can come out, and this is all shallow water in the bay, so we have to deal with crab pots. We either have to go out into the shipping channels, way out several miles offshore, add 20 miles on our little 8-mile adventure to Deltaville. We either have to go way out instead of just part way. Like it's going to be about 12, 14 nautical miles for us to do it. If we go way out, it's like 30. But you get in the shipping channels, you don't have to deal with any crab pots. But otherwise, you pretty much have to deal with crab pots. They have these little floats, and it's not a problem for us. If we bump one, it's probably not even going to be noticeable. It's not going to affect our prop. Our prop is right behind our rudder. because we're using the Catalina's outboard system, and it was designed that way. But we're probably not going to have a problem. But you can see the crab pots just as easily on a full moon night as you can on an overcast morning. And we've done plenty of overcast sailing. You can see just fine. So full moon is actually a really, really nice thing to go out and sail with. And we're getting there. The moon is starting to grow. So we should have an okay time tomorrow morning if the clouds aren't too bad. Doesn't matter. We have the charts. We can run what we're doing. We actually have good lights if we need to actually light up the water. But that's the plan. And without getting into overnight cruising, which it's not part of the goal for the ICW. There's no reason to have to do this on the ICW unless you just really want to chill out and do the overnight cruise. Some of the flat water is really flat and really easy. So without having to do overnights, extending your cruising early tends to be more comfortable than extending it late. Okay, you always want to, if you want to be comfortable, you always want to get to camp as much before sunset as possible. And that doesn't matter if you're anchoring, if you're hiking, if you're driving. An early start is better than a late arrival. And that's kind of the key. That's the message of the video. So if the weather holds, we're going to try to leave at 4 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. And theoretically, that could actually put us done with our sailing day at 9 a.m. Probably closer to 11, but we'll see. All right, that's it. Stay sideways.